Okay, it's Monday morning, January 9, 2017. Run right through the futures real quick here. The Aussie dollar looks to be making a bull flag here. The target would be up in this area around 74.5. We're seeing gold up this morning. I feel that the dollar is going to be coming off. There are a lot of bulls in the dollar per the last commitment or traders report. And whoops, I need this button. There we go. And here we have the British pound. Okay, British pound is breaking down below kind of a minor support area, and now it's re-entering an area where it found support in the past. Down here, the little green areas are a support level, and that'd be around 120.50. I'm going to assume that this is going to hold in theory now. Okay, if the British pound, I'd have a trigger up above the high here for a reversal. Okay, this is basically a retest. We'll call it a W bottom. Okay, if it holds this and then re-clears, enters back into this area, it will have made a double bottom or a W pattern, what have you, and then it should trend higher here. But like I said, just set an alarm. I set one above the today's high, and then into this area here. So basically, you're just kind of trailing this down because they're testing down here to see if they find any sellers. There is money that can come out of it here. This is the yellow money flow. The money can come out of it. But I just think that the dollar is going to, we're going to have to do a little tree shaking on the dollar. The dollar on, we'll look at it, but it broke out, and then it had kind of a lousy close. All right, so British pound. Canadian dollar, same type of deal where it looks to be making a flag on here. The Canadian dollar and oil haven't really been correlating. I believe oil has that strong reversal that we saw, I think on Wednesday, where it traded up and then closed lower. It had like a wide $3 range or something. I'm looking at that as a reversal, and that the products, not natural gas, heating oil and gasoline, they both are making bear flags. So the Canadian dollar, but each market's its own. There's a possibility here of Canadian dollar coming down and making somewhat of, say, an inverted head and shoulders pattern, just by barely. Right now, we basically just have a double bottom on here. Okay, strength. You can have it where oil goes down and the Canadian dollar goes up. If you look back at after the 1980 peak in oil, and that Canadian dollar still traded higher. Each market its own. I try not to add too many legs to it. If then else, if oil goes up, the Canadian dollar should go up. That's true, but sometimes it's not 100% correlated here. But I'm looking for some sort of tree shaking with the dollar. Okay, here's. I think the euro here, it's approaching this area, an area where it found support before. I'm going to treat this as kind of an inverted head and shoulders for now. If it does clear, let's see here. If it does clear 105.85, I think it's probably going to go to 107, which end up being in the shadow area here. Set another little alarm here for reversal. The dollar, as interest rates go higher, the dollar's been going higher, but we're seeing the back end of interest rates, long end bonds, notes and bonds trickle higher. We'll see that here in just a second. But I just think that that the euro, I'm leaning that the euro would probably see 107 before it sees 103. That's how I'm leaning for right now. Japanese yen. The Japanese yen is actually on the move today. The Japanese yen is used as a carry trade, and I wrote in that we could possibly see 113, 110 on the pair here. Okay, a deeper correction. So what we have going on is we have the move off of 102. That's when I got all giddy. I think I'm going to get into publishing. Okay, and we had the run up here. This does look like a way forward, but we're coming back off of this here. If the Japanese yen unwinds, okay, if it goes, if it trades below 115.34 here. Okay, I feel it's going to unwind even deeper. I guess there's a spot here, 114. I wrote about 113 and then 110 area into this one, where you're actually getting a larger pullback from this move higher here. But that's, you know, we have a lot of bodies in the stock market. We have a lot of bodies in the dollar. We have a lot of bodies pressing the short side of. It's I'm not saying this is going to be a full reversal. I'm just saying that we're going to see a deeper pullback, I feel, than what we see for right now. But for right now, as long as the 115 holds, if the 115 is lost, then the POC here is 114, and then 113, and then 110. So it'd be basically deeper correction off of this 102 low. That's what I'm looking for here. Here you have the Kiwi, possibility of the Kiwi getting back up to here. The money has come out of it. The Aussie dollar is already up in this area, so if you want to play the pair, you can play, you know, long Aussie, short New Zealand. I'm not looking for, you know, too much more up here. Over when the dollar regains its traction, goes higher, the Kiwi is going to go sharply lower from here. So you're basically looking at whatever bounce you get, you're looking for an area to short it. Swiss francs, I wrote about the Mexican peso being 3 deviations off the norm. The Swiss franc actually hit 11 deviations off the norm. Any type of rally in the Swiss franc, you want to short it for now. Okay, and that's 6S. Let's look at 6M. Now the Mexican peso here. Okay, Mexican peso. If this goes higher, then the U.S.-Mexican cross would go lower. Okay, you can see that the money's basically come out of it. Okay, we pretty much have our little election spiel in here about the whole wall and all this fun stuff. I feel that a lot of these currencies, Brazil, Singapore, all those other currency crosses, not the majors, those will begin to unwind. And I think the Mexican peso will probably be a pretty good long for 2017 on here, because once it's, like I said, it's 3 standard deviations off the norm. On a log chart, it's bending. So there's a lot of people pressing this. But for the futures here, you can see that money is beginning to come in. They're beginning to sample the long side of this here, and this should do the trick. We had a period, I think it was 1996, we had some unwinding of currencies in that, and the Mexican, I believe it was devalued, and it caused some issues with cross-border trade, cattle market in particular. But I think the Mexican peso on the long side, the 6M futures, would probably be one of the better trades for 2017. Right now, this is basically leaning like a 3-day bear flag, so just keep an eye on it here. Okay. Here is Brent crude. Okay, you can see the money flow up here was a top. Here we are with the money flow again. Here was our pattern. This is our reversal pattern here. We poked higher, it came all the way down. It didn't find any buyers in here. And we basically had a bear flag work on it, and now we're here. I wrote, I believe, 52 for America for West Texas, but if it loses 50, well, it's at about 55.50, we'll say. Okay, if Brent loses that, then I think it comes back into this area around 52. The happy place is 47. I wrote that America, West Texas would be a 47 shot too. But I just think that this here, I'm playing this one day here as a reversal, and that's when I wrote about $38 oil. And support will probably come down around 53 here. And then they're back into the 52.50. So then you would treat it as a retest of this area here. But for right now, I'm using the high. What's its this day, 3rd, right out of the chute, huh? So that was Wednesday. So Wednesday is a reversal bar, bear flag, and then headed lower in oil. And crude, right? Cocoa. If this money flow is correct, cocoa's going to unwind again on here. But usually, like I talk about the shallower the pullback, here's the shallower the pullback, the more bearish they are. So this would have to be a reversal on the high here. Okay. And then I'm going to have crude oil, right? Yeah, crude oil, same thing. Okay, so we have this strong day here where it poked its head up and reversed. There no buyers in here. And then you had the 3-day bear flag, pulled back, and we're trading lower. We dropped below 52.50. I wrote down 52. I guess you can get an earlier jump on it here. Then the top of the shadow is 51, but I was aiming down towards 47 and then 46 area. Here's the happy place. But this is where it begins to fill in with your volume. Okay, so 51.22 and 51.62. Okay. What's this? 49.86. Okay. So I'm treating this as this is a reversal on crude oil and 3-day bear flag, and then heading lower on oil, West Texas. The dollar, basically you could have a head and shoulders pattern going on here with the dollar, and then it would probably pull back to below this under 100 again. And it's just basically, it's just an unwind. You can see the money flow here, and it pulled back, made a higher high but less money. Okay, which means people weren't willing to commit. Comes down, basically making a bear flag, and then it should roll over. Set an alarm here. See, what happens is if they start coming out with their earnings because of the dollar, they can actually, folks will start talking about that we won't be raising interest rates 2, 3, 4 times this year. S&P, okay, so I wrote this morning that the S&P, the Russell, and the Dow all hit R2, and you saw what happened with R2 with natural gas, okay? So how I'm looking at this here is if we're going to get any selling, it would start today. Okay, we're only down a couple points right now on the S&P. But like I said, if the earnings come in, it should be broad-based unless the corporation's hedged on here. But for right now, what's this here? What level is that? 64. Okay. 64 will probably get you a reversal here. I'll do 37. There we go. There's a good oddball number. If it does break, then we're back down to 21. The happy place is 21.50. Like I said, I wrote, if we do lose this here, 22.34. I don't think these will hold. I really don't think that these areas will hold, and it would end up going deeper. The money. Okay, here's a weekly. Okay, so we basically have the takeoff from the election here. We have the takeoff, the election. All right, so we have a breakout. This is kind of a deeper retest. This one should have held. It didn't hold. We had the deeper retest down here. And we springboard, slingshot, catapult, whatever. And we're up into this area and stalled, okay, for right now. So if we are going to see if 2240 is lost, then I think we'll probably go back to, it'll lose 100 right off the bat, I think. And then we'll retest the sideways. I really don't think this area is going to hold here. That should do the trick. All right, do I have enough of these alerts on here? Of course not. No, can't have enough alerts. There, that'll give me enough time. Okay. And then you can just draw your trend line underneath here. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Okay, so here right now, S&Ps are on pivot. Okay, here's a pivot area here. I have both daily and weekly pivots on here. 65. Okay, I think I wrote about 67. Yeah, okay, so we'll see if this holds. If it doesn't hold, I think this thing is just gonna, it's gonna collapse. I really don't think these areas are gonna hold. We have a lot of light volume on there, so technically you'd have a lot of light selling. Then remember I talked about January being the high for the year, and then that's the end of that. All right, British pound is at 121.44. For those keeping an eye on the British pound as it enters that sideways area. Okay, so this has to hold here, 68. What's that? What's the low? 67. Not enough alerts, Kev. 67 should do the trick. All right, so it's not going to take much here. On the upper end, 74. Give the market give it at least 20 minutes and see what happens if we get people to come back in. But we've taken out basically half of this bar. All right, so, and it's at pivot, so you have to give it some time to see if there's going to be follow through to the upside or if it retraces back down. Let's see, daily again. What did I have it at? Okay, that'll work. Okay, so here we are with the S&P. Like I said, the money, okay, here for the bulls. If the bulls can turn it, I would assume then that the money would come flying in on this thing. Okay, you can see how the money was higher, 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 and all of a sudden somewhere around the summer months, Brexit, they got out of it. Okay, then the market took off running and the money came in, but only about half as much. Okay, so for the bullish case, you can have the money come chasing in after it. On the bearish case, they weren't interested in here at all. You have basically, we'll say, the smart money is not in it. Okay. All right, so that's the S&P. Do 6 months daily. Where am I? Daily, that's pretty, okay. All right, next chart. All right, here's gold. Gold looks to be setting up a bull flag pattern. As you can see, there was a lot of money that came in for, this is Italy, and then we basically got everybody out of it, and now we're turning, and it looks to be making a bull flag. If it does clear, it'll be like 1210, 1220 area would be the next area that it stalls. And that goes along, the gold goes along with the US dollar here. A lot of correlation with the dollar here for a while. With bonds, you know, the dollar and bonds, dollar and stocks. Dollar comes off, stocks should come off, bonds should get some strength, debt should get some strength. Here are euro dollars, and the bodies kind of came out of this one here. The as this goes lower, short-term interest rates go higher here. So you may have a deal where people actually, if the earnings start coming in, you probably see money moving back into euros or euro dollars as a place to hide out. Because then they feel that maybe we'd only get one hike this year. It's everybody's in the same boat. The Fed's going to raise rates 2, 3, 4 times. Bank stocks are going to blah, 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 blah. I just think that we're in short term, we're in a crowded trade. And we just need to do some tree shaking here. Here's copper. Basically, you have a sideways pattern, but you also have the dollar coming off, I feel. Okay, so you may get a bounce into copper up into here at 262. But for me personally, I just want to stand aside. Basically, you set up an area. It's, here's 255 and here's 248, and you basically play whatever way it breaks out. Heating oil, like I said, they had a strong move down. You had your bear flag, 3-day bear flag, and then a stronger move down. You can see that the money's in here, so we're gonna have some serious unwinding here on heating oil once it crosses below down into this area here. It does look like it's pretty strong. This, like I said, I'm treating the one day where it poked higher and just fell apart as it ran out of buyers. In theory, it's going to stop here and stop here. But we shall see. Okay, you're too tiny. Let's go look at cotton. Okay, cotton, I believe the Commitment of Traders report says that there's a lot of longs in here. Money flow is there too. It's an ugly pattern, but it is making a series of higher highs. I prefer just to stand aside on this one here. Natty gas, okay, natty gas found a support level down here. I was looking for into 311 area, okay. That's 314. See, we're cutting it close. I suppose you just set an alarm on the upside. So we're talking 314, 311. All right, let's take a look here, 311. Okay, so that's another area. These are support levels here. What are you? 310. Okay, and I'm just setting an alarm up here. There were a lot of bodies that were in natty gas. It just couldn't push it through. All you needed was one more, and they couldn't do it here. But as you can see, if you just connect the dots, it's still pointing higher. Probably at best is what's going to happen is we're going to have a larger sideways pattern here. Because this is a weekly, and you can see that there's still room for bodies to come out of this thing. 375. All right. Or 275 is the happy area, right? Yeah, that's where we got in here. Okay. All right. Nikkei futures looks like a reversal up here. This would be one to play if you play the Dow futures, shorting the Nikkei up in here. And you can see that the money's in here. China devalued. Japan's the #1 trading partner, or China is Japan's #1 trading partner. They devalued their currency. So it's good for buying Chinese products, but it's bad for Chinese buying Japanese products. But it looks like it poked on through here, and we'll do the whole reversal thing here. Low, low, low. All right, good. Next one. Okay. Nikkei, NASDAQ futures. Okay. NASDAQ, and as you can see, the money is in it. Possibly a little spinning top on here. If it loses, we're back to 49.80 again. You can draw your trend line underneath here too. Okay. What's this for support? 60. So you're playing it 49.80, 49.60. You're playing it by 20-cent ranges on there. On the upper end here, we'll just say 50.60 on the upper end here for resistance. But it does look like it. The NASDAQ 100 poked its head over R1, and the NASDAQ Composite found support at R1, where the other ones were at R2. Okay, so the NASDAQ is trailing on here, but it did have a pretty good move on Friday, you know, to break out into this here. But we'll see if we get if it loses half that area. 49.80 is lost, then I'd have to say that we're going to start testing the lower ends again here. But when it happens, I'll update you. Sugar, okay, we did get the low down here under 18. Then, of course, you get your run. Hopefully this is a bull flag, okay, for you guys in sugar. And you can see the money went flying back into it here. So basically you have to see if this pans out for a move higher here. I'm going to treat it as a bull flag. This is your third day on here. See how we do with the sugar market. Like I said, I follow weeklies. It keeps you in the trend longer. Once you start breaking it down to 1 minute charts, and you're going to spook yourself out. And let's just do this real quick here. And another way to keep you in a trend long enough is Heiken Ashi bars. Looks like crap. But they use a moving average in there too. So this one, you don't see any red bars on here. So you still, you know, you still have the feeling that it's going to go higher. Silver not moving as high as gold this morning. A little bit on the muted side. The other white metals, platinum and palladium, are moving with the clip. Maybe I'll eventually get that $100 move in platinum, huh? I'm going to treat that as a bull flag on here. Possibility of an inverted head and shoulders on here, though. But with it not moving today, it's quite it's probably, I'm going to say maybe it's being overlooked here. The other thing too is remember it's an industrial. Earnings come in, say problems, blah blah blah. 263. Okay, and silver, whoops. Bonds, okay, so these are the ultra bonds. I'm going to treat it as a bull flag, and that if equities come down, people move back into bonds. Is this scaled right? I guess I suppose we scale it right. Pause right here. Next shot on bonds would be like 167, 3/4 about or so, half. 167.5, let's say, for the swing higher. I would say though that as if people come out of equities, they'll move into debt. Dow futures, like I said before, it also hit off of R2. Okay, and paused. If there was going to be some selling coming in, it would be coming in today. Folks are coming back to the marketplace. We should have everything as a go probably tomorrow. I'm gonna treat this as you're back to the breakout. It either breaks out higher and you go with it, or then it collapses. I don't think it'll stall here. It'll probably come back to the happy place down here. We shall see though, because there's not a lot of, you know, they didn't spend a lot of time here. Bonds, same thing again here with ZB. Bonds, I'll treat it as a bull flag. Money comes out of stocks, it should go back into bonds. Dollar should come off. Corn looks a little ripe here for corn. Where are we at the season? Where are we at? January? If you're a producer, you know, do some hedging on here. Okay, because this could basically be an A, B, C correction and then head lower, back under $3 for corn. But for right now, overhead resistance is around what's at 68. Fives, same thing, twos and fives. They'll probably run into notes and bonds, not as much as the front end, because that's what we're actually we're beating on when we raise rates. It's the front end, Fed fund futures, 2 years, 5, 7s, that kind of thing. The front end. Soybean oil at its happy place. So this is critical. The money did come out of this, right? Yeah. Okay, I have to keep an eye on this one here. Soybean oil is nice. It's $6 a tick. I'll do one. Okay. So the money came out of it. I went higher, but that was the trend was up. This looks like the trend is coming down now. Okay. And then beans are coming up here, right? Here's notes. Same thing again. I'll just treat this as a bull flag. Money can run into it. Looks like notes 126 area. Support is where it's at here, 124. 126, and gosh, let's go all the way up. We have 127. Yeah, just, you know, before I said play on the, you know, buy the odds, sell the evens. Okay, so yeah, 126. Set an alarm here for follow through. Okay, my alarm. All right, and beans. The money's finally coming out of it. It still has room to fall. 84 would be its happy place, and then on the weekly. Okay. Lots of money on a weekly basis, so this is susceptible to a hard break. I was looking for 850, and then I wrote about 650. I just think that this is, once it starts, it's just going to be precipitous. Two's the same thing. This, like I said, you know, wrote about short covering here. That's basically how I'm leaning at it, but you'll have bodies move into it if equities fall apart. Wheat, okay, all right. So on wheat, what we have going on here is it came back down. There wasn't any follow through on here. The players are basically short. It blew past the other side of it. So in theory, the bulls need to support 420. Can you guys remember 420? All right, so you're going, Kev. All right, 420 for wheat. Watch your distant contracts too. And also there's a seasonal on wheat where I believe it's Kansas City over Chicago. Like Kansas City would outperform. Let's see here. That's the KW. That's what I thought it would like to be, but get out of here, you. Futures, Kansas City wheat. That's the symbol on there, Kev. You should know this one. Well, it was easy when it used to be KC. Oh, you think they don't have it? No, they have to have it. I thought I pulled it up on here. Okay, time's always in, Kev. Alphabetical order is just too much. You're kidding me, right? One more time. Somebody's at home going, you moron, it's this, it's this. Yeah, because they don't have Minneapolis wheat on here too. Grrr. All right, I don't see it. CW, you buggers. How about if I just type in Kansas? And I'm wasting time. Wheat dynamic. Kansas wheat sub-index capped. I'll pass. All right. Grr. So it's Kansas City over Chicago for seasonal. Bulls need to hold 420 on this one here. And then we good to go here. I'll have to post a chart tonight on the upper ranges for wheat here. Take a quick look here on a weekly. All right, so that's where the bull's at. So you would be shooting for like 450 from here, but the bulls have to hold the 420 area. Okay, and it still has room to run with the flow. You can see though, you know how the money came into it, and there was some hope, and again, and then it just unwound. That's what I basically think is going to happen with soybeans. And 6A, we're back to that. All right, time to render this and send it upstream. Have a great day.